guys, welcome back to Penny Dreadful Blog and Reviews. I'm Taylor Dean and it's great to see you again on my second video. I'm super happy to be back and we have a lot to discuss. I know we had talked about doing a lot of different videos on my Facebook and on my page and on my blog, so branching out. We're going to discuss two things this time. And one of them is going to be my health, and one of them is going to be rude authors, and my opinions on rude authors as a fan and as a author herself, trying to get into the business. So, okay, let's get started. Like I said, I've been sick. I am 30 years old, and I was diagnosed in October of last year with stage 3 cervical cancer. This November I will be 1 year cancer free, and I'm really excited about that. That's a huge milestone. I come from a long line of cancer victims. My grandfather died of cancer, my 2 great uncles died of cancer, my grandmother, my dad, so pretty much I'm next on my dad's side, and I've got some cousins on my dad's side. They've all had cancer of some sort. There's that again. So we definitely know what to watch for, what to be very aware of. Last year was pretty rough around this time for my family because I was very, very sick. I felt really, really bad. I was usually always running a high fever. We didn't know why. It was very, very devastating and very, very scary. So that was rough. After the cancer was removed, there was other underlying problems that we didn't understand. My bladder had stopped working. I had a lot of retention issues. I was in and out of the ER because I couldn't go to the bathroom. I know this is a TMI topic, but it has to be brought up, sadly. Because it is a reason that I have had some conflicts lately. So I am going to bring it up. We later found out that the muscles in my bladder, you have 2. You have the top one that causes your bladder to spasm, and then you have the bottom one that causes your bladder to open and empty. And both of those were damaged to the point that they do not work on their own. Medication helps, but not all the time. I sometimes do have to self-cath, which is embarrassing and degrading and something I don't enjoy and something I don't want to do. So at 30 or even 29 at the time, it was always sorry, my phone went off. My son is away at camp with his school. He's in 5th grade, and his principal just sent me a picture. She's been with him for, 7 years. She is an amazing woman. Believe me, I will testify to that woman for the rest of my life. So, back to the subject. So, we were very convinced that there was something we were missing with my body, because at 29, your bladder just doesn't stop working. I do have a family history of bladder cancer, but I was clean of bladder cancer. I strictly had stage 3 cervical cancer because I was lucky enough to have endometriosis of the uterus. The cancer had metastasized to the size that it was, but it hadn't had the chance to grow outside of my uterus because of the scarring that the endometriosis had caused. So it was good that I had children early on because I wouldn't have been able to have them later on because there wouldn't have been a place for them to be because there was so much scarring. So we did know that I was cancer free. I was rechecked for all bladder related issues, including kidney related cancers, anything that could possibly be the reason that happens, and nothing was coming back. We weren't finding anything out of the ordinary, but they were only running generic tests, and we didn't know that it needed to be a more than generic test. It needed to be bigger. So I was diagnosed later after sitting down with my husband and trying and racking my brain and really, really thinking, what could I possibly have that would do this? And so I follow a blogger called Leanne Says, and she's actually local to Texas, which is nice, like Bunny. We live close together. I live in Granbury, and she lives in Houston, which not really close, but close enough. I had hoped to be going to Houston in a couple of days, but that's not looking like it's going to be possible. Maybe this video will change some opinions. I'm hoping so. She was the one that flared a bright light in a direction I hadn't thought about, which was lupus. My father had a form of lupus that was very generic, that was only joint and skin related. It was painful for him. He had white patches. My dad was Native American, so he had really red skin. And he worked outside all the time, so it stayed predominantly red. But certain spots had depigmentized because of the lupus. And he would burn very badly on that. So he had to wear a lot of sunscreen and stuff like that on those areas of his skin. And it only happened in certain places on his body, which was really weird. And he had a lot of joint issues. But it runs in families, and it's very, very common for women who are of Native descent in their early 20s to 40s to develop lupus if it runs in your family genome. So this was a flag to me that maybe I had lupus, because there was another side to lupus. It's a little bit darker and a lot scarier and can be pretty bad. And that was a devastating day when we got that back. When my C1 through 9 came back positive on 7 out of 9 sections. Gratifying that lupus had, in fact, destroyed my bladder muscles. It could, in fact, work on just about any part of my body at once. It explains my migraines, it explains nosebleeds, it explains extremely fatigued days, it explains muscle aches and joint pains, it explains it just explains a lot of my health issues. If I'm extremely stressed out or if I overdo it one day, I can get, I actually have internal shingles. So they actually break out in this eye and in this sinus cavity. And they're really, really painful, but the doctors actually can't do anything about them because your eye is the most rapid healing organ in your body. And so I kind of have to suffer through the pain for a few days, and then it goes away. But I always make the joke that I look high for a couple of days in that eye because it's so bad. And it's getting worse. It's starting to spread higher than just the bottom of my eye. It's starting to come up to the middle of my iris, and that's kind of scary to me because it can damage your vision, and that's something I don't want. So, um, it is scary. I later found out that my thyroid was having issues. I had hyperthyroidism, which wasn't normal for me. I also had early onset heart disease, which also wasn't normal for me, especially considering I have low blood pressure. Like literally, normally I run 80/60, which is pretty scary for a lot of people. It's, go to the hospital type blood pressure. For me, it's pretty normal and my body regulates just fine on it. But for someone else, that would be pretty bad. So for someone with blood pressure that low and then to have early onset heart disease show up is pretty scary. So I've had to change a lot of things about myself, and of course I've been put on a lot of medications that have put on weight and changed who I am, changed a lot of my features, and it's been very stressful. And like I said, my family was recently in a car crash, and I didn't used to have a scar that ran across my face. I now have a scar that runs across my face because I broke the window out in our car, and so I have a scar over here, and I also have one that runs across my nose and onto my eyelid, and it's very weird. We've had to readjust our life completely, and it's really not even back to normal yet. My husband has to have shoulder surgery soon, and my kids are still kind of emotional about it. They don't actually come out and say that it's their wreck, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Because honestly, we don't have any other issues that would cause them to be clingy or overly sensitive to me and their dad or certain things. They get upset if someone's, picking on me and my husband. So it can become an issue, but our kids are usually super good, and they've done really well, and luckily they didn't sustain any major damage in the wreck. It was just mostly me and my husband and our car, and we are getting there slowly. So, and my health is something that I deal with daily. Sadly, I had to upgrade to a medical alert bracelet because it's something I'm going to have for the rest of my life to address any problems I have. Like I tell a lot of people, I have no reason to lie about my health issues. I've been asked several times to provide paperwork on my health because supposedly I used it to get free things. I did not. If I ask for something, I ask for it because, when you work in an industry where you're trying to make an impression and you're trying to get an impression of something, it's really hard to do when you're doing it out of your own pocket at first. And it's really hard to do it when you want to be on the first line. And that's part of what I think triggered the issues I started having this summer, which should have never happened, should have never, ever been a part of it. So that is my health situation. And like I said, I will keep everyone updated. I went to the doctor yesterday. They rerun labs like they always do to see if anything is standing out, because sometimes it can go into remission, sometimes it can have flags standing up, sometimes it can just be the same as it always is, and we just treat it as it is because it is symptomatic, and it's not something I can just take a pill and be okay. I have to be on top of it. I have to tell people when I don't feel good. I have to report it if there's a problem. So that's what I do. So I hate being 30 and having these problems because it just feels so young to be so sick. But at the same time, I'm still so alive and I want to do so much because I want to write. And if I'm not writing, I want to work in the PR world. And I think that's my biggest issue right now is that I have, okay, disclaimer, guys, putting it in here because I don't want anybody to say I did. I initially was not going to do this video until I had a chance to calm down and have a chance to breathe because I was upset. I may break down into tears because I've been waiting for October for a long time because this was an event I really wanted to go to, which was RT Roundup in Houston, and at this moment, I'm not getting to go because I can't get anyone to contact me back about information that I need. So, I'm trying, but if I can't get your attention, I can't, and that's all I can do. So, I'm not going to drop any names, like I said. I'm not going to drop book titles because I do believe in keeping it positive, keeping it classy. Even the people who have been downright nasty to me lately, I still support their work. I still read their books. I still form an opinion based off of what I really, really feel, not what I want to say. And that's because I'm the bigger person, I believe. In this world, in the indie field, you work for your fans. Plain and simple. You work for your fans. They pay for everything. They pay for your books. They pay for your meal tickets. So if you're not giving your fans a chance to talk, then you're not being fair to all of them. And if you give a specific place, group, board that's supposed to be a safe space between people and whatever happens, and people get on there and they just want to vent and just cry and have a moment and talk about their problems, that's all it should be. That's it. It should never turn into something more, or it should never turn into a situation where you're kicked out of a group, or it should never turn into a situation where you're kicked off of a page, or you're not allowed to share on a page, or you're not allowed to be a part of the email list, or you're not allowed to do this, or you're not allowed to do that, or you're not allowed to, you're the main reason that everyone did this. That's not fair to fans. That's just not fair. And if you did it because a fan slash, trying to writer, PR person, blogger is intimidating you because she's pushing her ranks and she's getting into position and she's getting where she wants to be because she's trying, because she's fighting, because she's moving, don't knock her down because you feel intimidated, because then you're losing. And then so does she. I am a determined person. I've always been determined, and I dream really big. And my first dream was always to have a family because I didn't really have one as a kid. So my first dream was to have family. And I have an amazing husband, and I have 3 beautiful children. And no, I don't have a great house and finances that allow me to do everything I want to do. I sometimes need help to get places that I want to go. But if you're in the business and you like someone enough that you're willing to offer them the assistance because they impressed you on one meeting, you shouldn't let anyone else discourage your decision because that person isn't any different. I have my demons, but they aren't to lie, and they aren't to deceive. And I know that this indie-filled world is full of drama. It can suck you in, but I've never been interested in it. I've been interested in meeting the authors that I love and spending time with them and writing about their stuff and then writing about what I want to write about. Sometimes writing your own stuff is harder than writing about other people's stuff just because it is. But it doesn't change who I am. As an author, you should stand up for all of your readers. They should all have a voice on your pages. They should all be someone who's welcome to be a part of everything. They shouldn't be excluded because you feel threatened by them, because they might move a little faster than you can. Disrespecting your readers is a number one downfall, and if you'll disrespect one, you'll disrespect another. And to me, that's hurtful. And I've had 2 authors do it. And I've met one who I personally didn't care for her attitude. I love her books. I think she's an amazing writer. I will never stop reading her stuff. But her personal attitude was very... I don't even know how to explain it. It was more than it should be. And as a fan, as a soon-to-be colleague maybe, or even someone who works for her one day as a promoter or a whatever I decide to do with my life from this point on in communications or writing about them or giving the inside scoop on some of them. Because I've been to enough events, I can give you the inside scoop. I can tell you that sometimes book events go too far. I can tell you that some of the models have been mistreated and that they have to be basically watched by another member of, the group because people go too far. Women will go too far. I'm not one of them. I'm married. I love my husband. So by no means do I care to even by any means other than get a hug and a picture from a guy that I might have met or seen on a book cover. It's just that. I've seen events go too far. I've seen fans be treated badly. I've seen the disrespect enough to know that it's not fair to some fans. As a freelance PR person, as someone willing to stand up and say, hey, I read this book and this book and this book and I've loved it and I'll read all your others. You should go the extra mile every time. You shouldn't spread gossip. Because that's all it is gossip. You don't know if it's true. You're just assuming it's true. And that's not fair. It's really not fair to the person you're doing it to. Especially if they're good at what they're doing. And there's people out there that care about them. You really need to think about that. Because it's not every day that there are people that are willing to continue to care about authors and to continue to read their work and to continue to promote, even though they're treated very, very badly. So even if you make your money somewhere else and your writing is a hobby, congratulations. You still write for fun, and your fans are still important, or your books wouldn't be on shelves. So take a minute and look back and reflect on who you are as an author. And think, are your behaviors bad? Are they destructive? Are they hurtful? And if they are, maybe it's time to apologize. Maybe it's time to tell someone you're sorry. Maybe it's time to be that nice author. That's all it has to be. Everybody deserves a free shot. You got yours once. Now it's someone else's turn. You already have a table. They're not stealing yours. They're just trying to make one for themselves. Not everyone lies. Just seems like it. I know I didn't. I have no reason to. I live every day with my problems, my diseases. And I'm still here to dream. And I always will, regardless of the rude authors. So even if I don't get to go to Houston, there's always another one. So I hope this wasn't too depressing. but I felt it needed to go out. I felt that something needed to be said. I really wanted everyone to know that even the best of the best can be the worst of the worst. Even my shiny pennies have their flaws, but that doesn't tarnish them anymore to me. Maybe it makes them a little bit shinier. So, alright guys, if you liked this video and you're ready for more, comment, hit that button, like, subscribe. Tell me what you want to hear. Let me know. I want to hear it. Bye.